Today, everybody. That is fantastic. Hope you guys really enjoyed the first minute of me talking to absolutely nobody. Off to a great start. Love to see it. We have the NFL draft in the books. We had basically what I was saying is that it's a lot. Okay, the dynasty landscape is totally changed. It's a whole new world out there. We've got a lot of stuff to figure out. I've been in the spreadsheets, moving things around, trying to figure out what on earth is going on. We're going to talk about a couple of things, like not going to get into too much of the weeds. I absolutely will answer questions. I will be talking a lot as well while we do some of the mock drafts, because I'm not going to participate in all of them. I'm just going to be kind of giving some takes. So we'll do all that stuff. I just want to call out some people in the chat here. We got Wendell was first with the hello here. Cortrix is here. Zach from the Discord is here. Breadstick says, let's settle the 102 debate. We'll come back to that in a second. Scotty says, certified Paul moment. Yeah, I mean, it was a certified Paul moment until I didn't turn my microphone on. Yella called me out as being late. I would like to note the timestamp there says 6:58 p.m. I absolutely was not late, and that is a bold-faced lie. Wendell's looking for answers to his questions. Look, we're gonna try to make this happen. Rest in peace, Isaiah Bond and Xavier Restrepo. Very different reasons for going undrafted. It's not Restrepo's fault that he's slow as molasses, but it happens. Cruiser says, babe, wake up. Pure Potential about to go live. Here we are. We are here. We're ready to roll. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Let's talk about 102 real quick, and then we'll go from there. 102, the question is it Hampton? Is it Hunter? Is it Tet? Or T-Mac, as he wants to be called? I am team Travis Hunter is 102. That is my take. I'm on the Travis Hunter train. Like, look, there are different league settings that could impact this, absolutely. But when I'm thinking about it, your standard start 3 wide receiver PPR format, I'm going with Travis Hunter. I think he just is the real deal. The people that I respect absolutely love this dude as a wide receiver prospect. Third best wide receiver that Matt Harmon has ever charted. Jacob Sanderson, Ron Stewart. These are people that I trust. I like to hear what they have to say, and I trust them and I believe them. And when I look into Travis Hunter, this guy, like what he was able to do on the field, despite not even really practicing as a wide receiver, being a cornerback, and just being like shouted out, run this route. His underlying metrics, they're not absolutely elite, but they're good. Like they're above average. And when you take in the context that he was running these screenplays that were basically just fake routes for him to get a breather on the field, that he was running in 4 and 5 wide receiver sets all the time because of Colorado's weird offense, that suppresses yards per out run figures because it's harder to dominate targets when you're sharing the field with so many wide receivers as opposed to fullbacks or running backs or tight ends. So there's just so much context. And I don't know. I mean, look, the dude passes the vibe check for me. Like, I think he's just awesome. So I think that there is a non-zero chance that we are looking at a Malik Neighbors, even a Justin Jefferson type of player. I'm not going to pass up on that. As much as I like Amari and Hampton, and I think that they're in the same tier, I'm taking Travis Hunter. Now, this comment right here, is BTJ cooked? This has been, something people are talking about. I don't think anybody's seriously thinking that, but I have heard some comments about like, does this hurt Brian Thomas's value? I don't think so at all. I don't think it hurts his value in the slightest. I'm not moving him. That's a lie. I moved Malik Neighbors ahead of him, one spot. Otherwise, I don't think this affects him at all. You have to understand about offenses is that the way that they distribute their targets or the way that the offense is designed is around the best players. And so what we saw from Brian Thomas last year, he's an absolutely elite wide receiver. If he's able to continue, what he was doing last year, I don't see any reason why he can't. Like if it continues to be the level of talent he was last year, it doesn't matter how good Travis Hunter is because those two guys can just take up as much of the offense as they are capable of taking up. The alphas eat first. So if Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter are legit just that good, they can both just get 150 targets. It's fine. They can just take the entire offense and nobody else needs targets. Brenton Strange doesn't need targets. De'Ami Brown doesn't need targets. They do not need to be schemed up looks. If these guys are good enough, they're just going to get all of the design touches. They're going to get all the targets. And Brian Thomas can thrive on, he doesn't need a 30% target share. He works at a higher ADOT. He's going to score touchdowns. He's going to break big plays. He is going to, Jamar Chase only had like a 22% target share last year. People think of Jamar Chase like he's dominant. He is dominant, but he's not like a 30% target share guy. He is an explosive play touchdown scorer in a really, really high volume passing offense. I think it could be a very similar situation. Now, it's not just Brian Thomas, though. Like, Travis Hunter is a floor raiser and a ceiling raiser for this offense. This could be a top 5 offense with Liam Cohn coming in, with Travis Hunter coming in. I don't care. People can say, oh, Trevor Lawrence fooled me once, fooled me twice. I'm not going to buy into Trevor Lawrence. I don't care. I really don't care. Like, this is a clear and obvious upgrade in play caller. This is hands down, not even close, the best supporting cast that he'll have ever had. I'm totally willing to buy back in again. I don't care. I think Trevor Lawrence is good. I think this offense is going to be sick. And I want pieces of all. I want every single piece, including their new rookie running back, Byshell Tootin, who's on the thumbnail today. Absolutely sick landing spot. Probably the best possible landing spot for him when you think of a guy who is getting that day 3 draft capital, 4th round, a little bit of a smaller back, explosive back, shades of Bucky Irving. I don't think he's as good of a rusher. I don't think he's as elusive, but shades of Bucky Irving. And who got the most out of Bucky Irving last year in that offense, on a limited snap share? He only played like 48% of the snaps, and yet he was scoring points like crazy. That's Liam Cohn. So I think Tootin's in a really awesome spot. Let me catch up on some of these messages here, guys. I apologize if I miss you. I'm going to go ahead and throw in some of these members here. We got Austin asking why I can't comment on his trades today. Dude, there's a lot going on. Okay. I have a lot of irons in the fire right now when it comes to Dynasty content, ranking updates, things like that. So I apologize if I missed any of your trades today. We got Cole in the chat. Let's go. Who else we got here? T says BTJ is cooked. He's kidding. This was a big controversy in the members chat about BTJ. So we've been talking about this for a while. Got a few more people popping in here. David, what's up? Obi-Wan Jacoby is in the house. All right, so you guys can throw in a couple more any of your biggest rookie related questions, and then we're going to jump into these mock drafts in a second. T-Hum is here. What's up? Yeah, I mean, I think probably rest in peace Tank Bigsby. I mean, no 4th round running back is guaranteed anything, but we have to understand that this is a new coaching staff coming in. They took him with the 2nd or 3rd pick in the 4th round. That is a decent enough investment at running back to think that he's going to get a chance to contribute, and that this coaching staff has handpicked him as a fit for the offense. He has some skills that neither of these other 2 running backs really have. I would be surprised if Tank Bigsby is a big factor. I didn't think he was going to be a big factor anyway because he doesn't catch passes. He was always really a change of pace back. So I'm not putting a lot of value in him. Like he's like a mid to late third for me. ETN's like a late second. You know, you hope he gets traded or something, or that he can stave off Baishal Tutin to be the main guy. Zach Justice says Kyle Manangai as the only Bears running back. He's not the only Bears running back. DeAndre Swift and Roshan Johnson are the Bears running backs. They are the winners. I'm not really, I mean, he's on the radar for sure as like a priority waiver ad or like a late fourth. I'm not putting a lot of stock in him getting drafted in round 7. That there's no guarantees there that he's going to get any opportunities. So that's a tough call. Larson says, where are you taking Travis Hunter now in a startup? I don't know about a startup. I can see where I have him ranked. I've got him ranked right now, wide receiver 11, 26th overall in the ranks. So, you know, early 3rd round pick is where I would have him right now. So do with that what you will. How high should we take Harvey? I mean, he's a 2nd round pick and he's a good prospect. The problem is that he's really old, but he is a good prospect other than his age. He looks like a good running back. He's a good fit for their offense. So I think he deserves to be a 1st rounder, maybe 111, 112. I think my first wave of rankings, I've got him at 11. So I'll say that, late 1st. Definitely deserving of a late 1st. Do we like Dante Thornton? I mean, not really. Like he's fine. You can pick him up. You can stash him, whatever. I'm going to prioritize day 3 running backs though. As if you saw the last video that I posted with all the rookie draft tips, day 3 wide receivers, they just hit at such a low rate. He's going into a situation where they already had Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers. Now they have Jack Besh. You know, there's not a lot of opportunity there. I think he's going to be running wind sprints, to be honest with you. He's very much a downfield receiver. He's just going to be the new Trey Tucker pretty much, if he even, you know, can get that far. So not too interested in Thornton. Vic says nobody likes Golden. People taking Higgins over him. I think this is a mistake. I mean, I'm not big on Golden either, but I do have him ahead of Higgins just because of the draft capital. Higgins isn't a flawless prospect either. Golden gets I think the better spot. I mean, it's a good spot in Houston as well. It's just a lot more crowded, especially because they drafted Jalen Noel as well. So I do prefer Golden. I have them not insanely far apart, but I think Golden's the better bet with the 1st round capital. Took Judkins at 106. Should I be feeling remorseful? I mean, maybe a little bit. I've got him at 9 right now, but he's an early 2nd round running back on a team that didn't have a lot of other running backs to work with there. It kind of sucks that they drafted Dylan Sampson in the 4th, but I wouldn't say it like you're not cooked or anything. Kortrick says, is Trey Harris worth a late 1st? Currently working on moving up. No, I mean, he's not in my 1st round. I've got him at 16th overall at the moment. I did love the landing spot for Trey Harris. Probably one of my absolute favorite skill fits. I did genuinely call this pick. It was like we were up at like 53-ish, and I saw the Chargers were coming up, and I said, let's get Trey Harris to the Chargers. And then the pick came in, and it was announced, and I felt pretty good about that call. And I love that fit because he is like a pure outside X wide receiver. Fits perfectly with Ladd McConkey. There is nothing there preventing him from having a full-time role. Sorry, Quentin Johnston, you're not an X receiver. So I think that's a great spot for him, and he absolutely has a lot of upside. You know, with Justin Herbert, with all the target share to go around, I can't get him up to 1st round value. I think that's a little bit too far. Jonathan Farrell says, who would you rather have, Cam Scatterbo or Kyle Williams? I've got them back to back. I do have Kyle Williams 1 spot ahead right now in my rankings. So assuming it's PPR. T, I agree with you here. Henderson over Judkins. For those asking, I didn't see the questions, but if anyone's asking Henderson or Judkins, I am decidedly on Team Henderson. The pass catching upside is higher. I think the offensive upside for the Patriots is higher because they have a quarterback. I think he's a better running back, just straight up. So I strongly prefer Trey Henderson. I've got him at 6th overall, and I almost have him like a little half a tier ahead of Judkins. So that's where That's where I would take him. Jonathan Farrell says Higgins or Burden. So I'll say Burden, but I'm going to try to stay away from too many of the other straight up questions because we're going to talk about this during the mock drafts. And also I don't want to like influence you guys too much on how you're doing the mock drafts. I want to actually kind of see what people think, you know, coming into it. What do you guys feel about this class? What do you think about the landing spots? I want to see what happens. So I don't want to throw out too many takes before we get into the mocks, but I will continue to commentate as we go. Last one I'll answer here before we get into the mocks. Would you have done 102 plus Jacoby Myers for 105 plus Rome? I would be taking the 105 side there. I think that there is a gap between 2 and 5. But yes, I would absolutely take the 105 side there. I think there's a big enough gap between Rome and Myers, bigger than the gap I have between my 5th ranked player, which is Cam Ward, and Travis Hunter. So I'm going to take the Rome side there. It's not crazy at all either way for both sides, but I will take the Rome side of it. No, Jonathan, I understand you were curious what I think, and what I think is Burden. I just don't want to get into too many of these differences because I want people when they're on the clock to be totally like free to make their own choices and not be thinking in the back of their head like what I said. So let's pull up the mock draft here. The way this is going to work, guys, is I'm just going to throw the link into the chat and you guys can fill it up. I do want you to make sure that you're going to pay attention and like actually stay for the whole draft and fill it out. We're going to do multiple drafts. So if you don't get in the first one, stick around. Hopefully you'll get into one after that. We'll see how many we can do. I mean, we should be able to do a bunch because it's only 4 rounds. They go really fast. And I'm going to jump in this first one. We'll see how many I end up doing. I will definitely just take a back seat for some of them and talk about the selections, what I like, what I don't like, get into some of my other takes about winners and losers, veterans and stuff like that have been affected. So we're going to jump over into the draft view. I'm going to grab the 102 pick for this one. And just real quick before we get started, well, I'll go ahead and drop the link. Actually, you guys can start filling this up. Let me pull this up over here. All right. You guys can fill that up. Now, just want to talk about this little box on the screen here, potential superstars. That is the middle tier of the YouTube membership offer that I have. And, you know, I apologize. I've been pushing this really aggressively. I know I did it in the last video too. I'm just throwing it out there because I think it's a really cool community. Like I've been really enjoying getting to know and talking with all the people that have signed up. And I do think it adds value. And I think if there's any good time of year, you know, that would be worth signing up right now. I've got the rookie rankings. They're already updated. They're ready to go. They can help you with your drafts. I've got the Dynasty rankings, like 90% updated for everything that happened today. Got to throw in a few more names, got to move some vets around, but that's all done. I've been in the private Discord channels all day, you know, talking about reactions to the picks and everything. So if that's any interest to you, just check it out. There's a link in the top of the description. There's a join button under the video. It really helps me out. You know, if it's not for you, if it's not something you think you need or would benefit from, don't worry about it. No hard feelings, but it's worth checking out. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. We're going to start this thing up here. 30-second clock. We've got T in the 101 spot. So let's see what happens. 2025 rookie mock draft. Let's see how things fall. Okay, we got T here on the clock at 101. Oh, I've got dark mode on. Hold on. Let me fix that. There we go. All right, and we're off here with Genty at 101. No surprise there. I'm going to grab my 102, who we all know is Travis Hunter. Where is he? I have to scroll down. We're going to go Hampton. I think Hampton is actually going to be the 102 by ADP. I think he will be the guy that goes in that spot most often, but you are going to see some Ward. You're going to see some Hunter. You're going to see some Tet McMillan. I'm not sure if anybody else is going to sneak into that 2 spot. If anybody was going to, it would either be Henderson or possibly in like a really heavy tight end premium. You could see somebody grab Tyler Warren. people are very high. Some people were very, very high on him as a prospect. Maximum Heat says, is Travis the for sure pick? I mean, I would not fault anybody for taking Amarian Hampton or even Tet McMillan. I think that's totally fine. I wouldn't advise taking anybody other than those three guys. But for me, the guy is Travis Hunter. Now, if I had 102 in like a bunch of different leagues, I might mix it up a bit, or most likely what I would do, well, I wouldn't try to trade down because you're probably going to miss Hampton. I'd probably mix in some Hampton as well because I don't want to just miss out on him entirely. But if I was in one league and I had the 102 and I had to make a pick, that pick would be Travis Hunter. Now, looking at the board here, I meant to mention at the top, it is on the top of the screen, but I didn't say it out loud. We're doing 12-team, Superflex, PPR, tight end premium. So it's interesting, no tight ends through the first 9 picks, through the first 10 picks now in tight end premium. That's interesting to me. I've got Warren and Loveland inside of my top 10 for tight end premium rankings. In this one, it goes Judkins, then Burden, then Egbuka, then Golden. I don't know about taking Luther Burden ahead of Emeka Egbuka. I don't know about him ahead of Loveland or Warren in a tight end premium. That's pretty aggressive, in my opinion. But it's interesting. Loveland at 112 definitely strikes me as a huge value. Warren at 201 as well. I would have loved to get in on that. For me, I believe my highest guy here is going to be RJ Harvey, actually. So I'm going to take Harvey at 202. Dart goes next. That's who I have right after him. It would be those two. Those two would be the guys for me, Harvey and Dart. I have those two ahead of Golden. I have those two ahead of Burden. So I think those are good values there. We just talked about this, team by team. Is it okay? Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely okay. I think anybody who's going to go that crazy on takes between players that are that close together, that both have such great profiles, great chances of hitting, I think it's really unnecessary to be like talking about it like it's life or death. It's absolutely fine. It's just my preference is Travis Hunter. That's all. And I think if one of them is going to transcend to like absolute untouchable superstar status, I think it's more likely to be him than Hampton. But Hampton could absolutely, I mean, he could have multiple RB1 seasons. He could be, like a Joe Mixon, Ezekiel Elliott type of career. And that's extremely, extremely valuable. So no fault there. We got Milrow a little bit higher than I would expect in a typical mock. We got Harris, we got Higgins. I've been seeing Warren as more blocking tight end. I don't think that this is true. I mean, Warren is slightly less refined as a route runner, but really what people are saying is that he's the better blocker. He's not a blocking tight end per se any more so than like George Kittle is a blocking tight end. He is a receiving weapon. He's a great yak receiver. And his peak production in his 5th season is insane for a receiver. So no, I don't think he's a blocking tight end. I think he's totally worthy of a 1st-round pick in a tight end premium league. So we got Harris, we got Higgins. Adam, I do have Harvey over Johnson personally. It's not far apart, but Harvey gets the 2nd-round capital versus 3rd-round for Johnson. Much better landing spot, in my opinion, in Denver, just because Jalen Warren is quite good. Oh, I see. Sorry, guys. That's my fault. I moved the window out of the way to open up my rankings tab, and it stopped updating on the stream. So, yeah, slight preference to Harvey. I just think that the scoring ceiling is a little bit higher because I think he is more likely to get some passing work. And he has less competition, where Warren, I think, is pretty legit. I'm on the clock here. That's my bad. I can't tell if this is my highest ranked, but he's got to be near the top for me. I'm going to go Kyle Williams. So just recapping what I missed here when I was being stupid, we've got Tootin at 207. I think that's a good pick. I really, really he's definitely my favorite of the day 3 guys. We go Knoll, then Ferguson, who is my tight end 3 in the class. Scatabo, Besh, those are all great picks. I'm really liking that mid to late 2nd round, probably more than last year. Last year, I was very begrudgingly taking Blake Corum, Jermaine Burton, Jalen Wright even. I think this year it's a lot deeper in that range. Jordan James, 212. That was an accidental pick. Tyler Shuck goes 3-1. Tyler Shuck is bizarre, super bizarre pick by the Saints, but I think you have to put some value into him in that late second, early third, just because he's probably going to start week 1. He's going to have a chance to prove himself. And if he does look decent, he's going to gain a ton of value. Not sure I'd say the same about Dylan Gabriel. I know he went ahead of Shedeur Sanders. I don't necessarily think that he's likely to play at all, which seems weird, but I don't know. I just really struggle to believe that he is like a real guy, like a real quarterback. We got Mason Taylor. We got Jaden Blue. Jaden Blue, I mean, he got the perfect spot. He's just not the right guy to capitalize on it, really. I don't expect him to be a high volume player. He's much more of a pass catching specialist. Pat Bryant is an interesting pick. I mean, he has the 3rd round capital. Not anything crazy about his profile. Shedeur Sanders goes Isaac Tesla. Jarquez Hunter. I love Jarquez Hunter, actually. Love him as a pick. Probably going to be higher than consensus on him. I think he's really good. I mean, he's a day 3 pick. He's not guaranteed anything, but I was impressed to see him go 4th round. He goes to, if he can beat out Blake Corum, he goes to a spot with really interesting contingent upside. Dylan Sampson goes 401, probably later than he should go. And I'm kind of just winging it here. I believe my highest ranked guy would be DJ Giddens. Prospect I liked a good bit. Good, versatile guy. Obviously, he's stuck behind Jonathan Taylor, but it's really cool spot for contingent upside. Like, he becomes a really good handcuff, at least. And I think he has a lot of upside if he were to be starting. Aaron says, thoughts on Javonte Williams? I think he sucks. So that could be a problem for him. Yo, the Review Lab has signed up for a potential superstar membership. Love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. Welcome aboard. Let's keep the good times rolling here. We got some day 3 wide receivers coming in here in the 4th round. Jalen Royals, Alec Ayomanor. If you're going to take shots, right, these are the profiles that you can take shots on in the 4th. I actually like this Gadsden pick a good bit, going to the Chargers. No particularly intimidating tight ends there. He is very much a receiving weapon. So, we'll see if he can carve out a little role there. We got Will Howard. We got Woody Marks, probably later than he should really be going as a top half of the 4th round pick at running back. And he's going to a pretty empty backfield with Joe Mixon. He is insanely old, and I don't know if he's any good. He's 24 already, so he's RJ Harvey age. But, there's something there. Like, the mid 4th round draft capital for running backs is decent these days. Definitely worth shooting on. We got Savion Williams, actually, to close this thing out. So, some questions here. Pat Bryant more likely to hurt Mims or Vele? I don't know enough about his play style to be sure. He's definitely not a burner. I know he's not an athlete at all. So I think Mims is going to maintain his like gadgety usage, his deep shots or whatever. I don't really think Mims has much value. I don't think Vele does either. So it's like, I don't really think either of them was in a spot to be fantasy relevant even before this draft pick. But my guess is he would overlap a little bit more with Vele, more in like the intermediate areas of the field, maybe playing a little bit more inside. I don't know if he's a slot guy, but he's definitely not a downfield weapon. That's what I would say. Yeah, so in this first mock, I really like the prices on Dylan Sampson, Devin Neal. I like these running backs for sure. The running backs, that's the strength of the class. And so, yeah, some of them went really late, but it doesn't mean that they're bad. And in general, the day 3 running backs are still going to have much, much, much better hit rates, much clearer paths to production than these day 3 wide receivers. So I think there should be a lot of running backs going in those late picks. Laugh Out Loud says, why do you rank Hunter at 102 over Amarian and Tet? We actually talked about this at the beginning of the stream. If you want to go back and check that out, you should feel free. It's after the first minute of the stream when I had myself muted. But yeah, I did talk about that. I just think the upside is crazy high. I think he's an insanely good wide receiver prospect. It's that's the short version. Pretty simple there. I'm not sure the easiest way to set up another one of these, so just bear with me. Probably gonna have to go back to the main page. New mock draft. Yeah, that'll do it. Go to the settings. Let's change this back. For some reason, it doesn't stay in linear mode, but everything else should be good. All right. I'm not going to do this one. I'm just going to copy the link. And I'm going to sit out this one. So you guys can keep asking questions if you want. I'll take questions. I'll talk about the mock draft. I'm going to send the link here in the chat in just a second. So get ready to click on it. And hey, if you were in the first one, you want to give other people a chance to join, that would be pretty cool. Here's the link. All right, so just catching up on a few of these things here. Travion or Quinshawn, I did answer this earlier. I'm Team Henderson, pass catching upside. I think it's the offense has more upside. I just think he's a better player. Quinshawn is my 106 personally. Hampton or Henderson, that's going to be Hampton for me. He gets the better offensive situation. He gets the first round draft capital, which is absolutely huge for running backs. If it was in a vacuum, I do think Henderson's a little bit better, but the other factors are significantly in Hampton's favor. So I'm going to stick there. We've already got this thing filled up. I see T has jumped in once again. The dude is absolutely thirsty for mock drafts. So we're going to start this thing out again, 30-second clock. Let's see what happens the second time around. I have a feeling we're going to see the same pick go at 101 though. And Z Carvel 87 is on the clock. Reese says, is it worth trying to tier up into the 4 to 7 range from picks 9 to 12? Yes, it's worth it. The way that I see it right now, I think that there is I think there's a top 4 with Genty and then step down and then Hunter, Hampton, and McMillan. And then I have a little step down to Cam Ward. But I do have Cam Ward in his own tier, and I think he's closer to those first 3 guys that I said than he is to the next group. So I think 5 is a really good spot because in a lot of drafts, I do think Ward will actually go before 5, and then you get Tet, right? Or maybe even Hunter. So I like that spot. 5, probably my favorite spot. Then we go 6, 7. That's Henderson for me. And then probably Loveland. And then it starts to, get these gradual steps back. So I think it's worth it. I wouldn't give up the world to get up that high, but I think if you can pull it off for like a second, maybe a second and a third or something like that, I think it's absolutely worth trying to trade up there. It's just, there's a lot of team context that's necessary when you're talking about a trade up, because it's like, do you have the value that you need to consolidate? Is there a certain position that you're targeting or a certain player you're targeting? What are the league settings? It's hard to answer generally, but I'll absolutely answer this question for you. Anything for a new member, how to access the rookie rankings. So you have to go in the Discord. The link, guys, is in the description. The Discord is free to join, but if you join, you go to your account settings and you connect your YouTube account to Discord, you will automatically get the YouTube member role, and then you will see all of the members only channels pop up. And one of those is going to have the rankings, and you'll see links to the rookie rankings as well as my main overall Dynasty rankings. So you can check those out. Like I said, they are updated. I've got every single player that has, not every single player. I didn't get the 6th and 7th rounds fully done. Almost every single player ranked that is fantasy relevant. So those are there. Adam says, how worried are you about Godwin? Or is Igbuka more planned for Evans' retirement? I mean, his skill set certainly overlaps much, much more with Chris Godwin. He doesn't have hardly anything in common with Mike Evans. So I don't know exactly what their plan is. I do think Igbuka is quite good. And I'm totally speculating here, so I don't know. It could be the case that Godwin hasn't been recovering as well as people hope. It could be the case that they remember having all their wide receivers injured last year and didn't like that very much. And so they decided to just grab another guy. But yeah, I don't think there's any way to spin this in a positive way for Chris Godwin. I think they just overlap so much, and he is a very talented player. I would be surprised if he doesn't carve out a role for himself. And if it means Godwin kicking outside a little bit more so Igbukah can play the slot, that's going to be bad for him because he's been so much better for fantasy when he's played primarily in the slot. So that's my take on Godwin. You know, I'm bumping him down a tier for sure. Checking in on the mock draft for a second, we get something that's definitely closer this time around to my rankings. Henderson over Ward is interesting for Superflex. Then we get Loveland at 7. That's where I actually have him. Judkins at 8. Golden, Warren, Igbukah. So I do like Igbukah more than Golden, even though I know Golden's in the better situation for immediate production. I just like Igbukah a lot more as a prospect. He does go a bit higher. And I think, you know, the Tampa Bay offense is quite good, even though it's crowded right now. Warren goes 10th, Igbukah 11, Caleb Johnson, then RJ Harvey, then Jackson Dart. I really think that early second feels like a good spot right now in the 201, 202 range. It's like every time somebody's falling there, whether it's Dart, whether it's Harvey, whether it's Caleb Johnson, that I really do like. And I don't even mind these receivers either. Luther Burden, Trey Harris, Jaden Higgins. Feels like those guys are going to be kind of a cluster there. Chris, what is up? YouTube member and our one and only Discord mod, who rarely moderates anything, but he's in there. He's here to see the stream as well. Hopefully he can jump into one of the mock drafts so he can draft his absolute favorite player, Quinn Ewers. We get Milrow at 206. So both times now, Milrow has gone a little bit higher than I would expect. And I love that people are chasing the upside with him. I think that's really, I think that's totally fine. But it does feel a little bit aggressive to me. I wonder how much of that is because of the sleeper ADP, that he's a little bit higher up, so people are anchored to that. I noticed Kyle Williams going late, and I think that's because his name is buried. I think that will correct itself. But right now, he seems like a clear target to me because Kyle Williams is definitely worthy of a second-round pick. He gets that top half of the third round, draft capital, great landing spot in New England, should get opportunity right away. Matt Harmon likes him. You know, Hayden Winks likes him a lot. I think he's a good pick. Great pick if you can get him in the third. A bit of a head scratcher, I think, would be the Dylan Gabriel pick at 209. I just don't see it with him at all. It's just, I don't think that he's realistically going to start games over Sanders. If he does, I don't think he'll last long. They've also got Flacco there. They've got Pickett there. I'd rather have Shadur, even though he went later. Personally, I just think he's more likely to actually pan out. But I wouldn't be picking either guy prior to the third round. Jay Villa asks, Scatabo or Sampson? I'm going to go Scatabo, I think, because his competition is Tyrone Tracy versus Judkins, who was just heavily invested in by the team. I would go with Scatabo. I also think that he's kind of the more versatile running back. Like if he hits, his upside I think is a little bit higher as a pass catcher. Well, his upside as a pass catcher is much higher, but his overall upside I think is higher. So I would be taking Scatabo. I'd probably have him a tier ahead. How big is the second round capital for Besh? It's pretty big. It's a big deal. I think it's a weird fit with the Raiders because I think he's more suited as like a power slot wide receiver. More in the mold of like a Cooper Kupp. I'm not saying he is Cooper Kupp, or I'm not just saying that because he's white, but just he's a bigger, more physical wide receiver who I think will struggle downfield. Like if you've seen his reception perception, his only two red routes on the route tree were the 9 route and the corner route. So when you think about the route tree that a true X wide receiver needs to run, he's really not going to be able to succeed at that at the NFL level, in my opinion. And so you think about the Raiders, They've already got Jacoby Myers, great slot wide receiver, and they've got Bowers, who also plays a bit in the slot. He also operates in the short to intermediate area as an inline tight end. It's kind of a weird fit for him, you know? So that's I struggle with that. I still think he's worth going in the second round because I do like him as a player, and the team obviously has some plan for him because they invested in him. So I think I'm willing to put a little bit of faith in, you know, Chip Kelly, Pete Carroll, whatever, that they have a plan to use him and just go ahead and grab him. So I think Besh and Kyle Williams both underpriced here. Actually, yeah, Tootin as well. Ferguson. Yeah, I like all those guys. Jack, I would trade the 105 and the 110 for the 101. Yes. I would very much like to do that. David, I'll try to let you know my favorite teams at the end of the mock. I can totally do that. We're actually wrapping it up here, so I can tell you for sure that I absolutely love what our 101 drafter did. They just went all running backs down the board, right? It's a running back heavy draft. That's the position of strength. Let's just draft a bunch of running backs. But I think every single one was drafted at value. I mean, Genty is the 101 value. That's an easy one. Harvey, I think, deserves to be 1 or 2 spots higher than this. So he's a bit of a value. Tootin, no business being there in the third, I don't think. Just the position he landed in, the upside is too high to be taking tight ends like Mason Taylor or Elijah Arroyo over him, Dylan Gabriel. I can't bring myself to do any of that. I would be taking Tootin. And then Jarquez Hunter, I already talked about him. I think he's kind of the quintessential, like absolutely perfect 4th round rookie pick. I think that's the move for sure. Looking at the other teams, like if I had another favorite team, it would probably be T in the 104 spot. He gets Tet, Burden, Kyle Williams, and then Trevor Etienne. Those are all, I think, solid values where he took them. You know, McMillan kind of the end of that tier. So I like that one a good bit. Those will probably be my 2 favorites for now. There's a good question here from Video Vandal. Who's your favorite day 3 wide receiver? It would probably be Alec Ayomanor. Just had a decent, decent prospect profile. He goes to a team in the Titans where if he is good, he will get on the field right away, like he should. So you can kind of pick him up and you don't have to hold on to him for a long time. Like if he can't crack the lineup basically by week 1, it's basically over because they have nobody. They have Calvin Ridley. They have Chamir Dyke, who they actually drafted before him in the 4th round. And then they have Ayomanor. I don't think I can even name another wide receiver on their team. They signed Tyler Lockett. So it's like if he can't get out there, he also does profile as kind of an X receiver. Ridley is not, he's miscast as an X receiver. Ridley should really be playing Z. So it would make sense from a scheme perspective to get him out there and get Ridley into the Z wide receiver role. Maybe Lockett can actually man the slot in his old age. But to be honest with you, I don't have a whole lot of faith in any of the day 3 wide receivers. I'm still not going to be going after him highly. T says, Restrepo got picked up to the Titans. Isn't that interesting? I mean, no. I don't know. Undrafted free agent wide receiver that's super old and runs a 4.8 40. I don't know. I don't think I'm that interested in him at that price. Like, I guess if you have like 35-man dynasty rosters, go for it. But no, I'm not very interested in that. I'd be much more interested in drafting like Taj Brooks or Brashard Smith or Devin Neal or any of these running backs that went round 6 or round 7 to interesting backfields. Those are all the guys that I'd much rather roster. The threshold that Restrepo would have to hit to matter at all to be even worth like a 3rd round pick. I don't think he's hitting that. Graham says, do you think Hampton's a lock at 102 if you don't need a quarterback? No, I don't. I don't even have Hampton ranked at 102. I have Travis Hunter ranked there. I talked about it earlier in the stream. Hampton would be my third overall. Oh, I didn't even make that connection. Yeah, I guess that's probably why they signed him. I didn't even think about that. Krangus McBasketball. That's a ridiculous name. Can you snake the next draft so it's more fun for the late round one guys? That seems like a crime as far as rookie drafts go. But if enough people in the chat are okay with it, we can do it. You guys let me know. Do we want to do a snake draft so the late one guys have more fun? Or do we care about the late one guys at all? I don't get why is the late round pick not as fun? What does that mean? It's all about, figuring out who you're going to take in your spots, right? So like, yeah, I mean, you're getting a worse player in each round, but you can still nail those picks, right? That's the point of the mock draft, is like, who do you take in that spot? But I don't think it's a big deal either way. We can do a snake draft this time. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Who cares? Just pay attention. We'll do a snake. Next one's going to go back to linear, so you can skip one. If you don't like the snake draft, just skip this one. You can jump back in next time. We're going to go ahead and do it. So sorry, guys. We're sending the link here. All right. By the way, this is a good time to talk about what's coming up on the channel. I know that I'm a little bit late as far as some other channels throwing out a lot of content lately. I'm trying to do that as soon as I can, get some actual videos posted, working through my takes. To be honest, I don't know how those other channels do it. This is my first year really going hard at the draft, so I'm gonna start this thing up. I feel like I have sensory overload, man. It's crazy. It's so much information to process, but if you are new here, go ahead and subscribe. If you like what's going on, if you're enjoying this, please go ahead and subscribe. I've got videos coming up next week. I'm going to try to get out rookie draft targets and fades next week, so 2 videos. Hopefully within the first couple of days after the draft is over, tomorrow and Monday, we're going to get some quick rookie draft data. We're going to get some information, and hopefully you have some rookie drafts that are coming up after the fact, or you can at least use the information to maneuver around in your leagues if you've already had your rookie drafts. But that's the plan. Get those videos out, and then we'll keep hammering rookie content as long as we need to. Maybe do another rankings video, maybe do some rookie tiers, because those will work even after rookie drafts are over. So we'll do a lot of stuff, and I'm excited to really get some takes out there. We also do need to talk about non-rookies, the players most affected by the draft. Like Sean Nichols says here, is Tyrone Tracy dead? Is Najee dead? Najee is dead, yes. Najee Harris is dead as a doorknob. I mean, he's going to get some touches early in the season for sure. In my mind, he's just Rachaad White at this point. Like he's a big body who can take some carries. He can get some receptions. He's just kind of a volume sponge when he needs to be that guy, but he's not going to stand in the way of Amari Hampton. Like first round running backs are inevitable. He's going to take over that backfield very soon, sooner than later. Tyrone Tracy's just a little bit less dead because he's competing with a 4th round running back. He can absolutely beat out a 4th round running back. Like that's totally possible. He has some talent. Now I think it's really tough to say whether I'd rather have Tracy or Scatterbo right now, because the team did just draft Scatterbo. He's coming in. That implies that the team thinks, they have a need there, but it's not such a big investment that we couldn't just see Tracy maintain his spot as the lead guy. Honestly, I think most of them, I think in most scenarios, they're just going to end up splitting touches in a way that makes both of them kind of unexciting, especially because it's not going to be an impressive offense, I don't think, unless Jackson Dart is like Patrick Mahomes or whatever. So, I think Scatterbo and Tracy are both fine shots with like mid to late second round value. I don't know for sure what's going to happen with them, so I wouldn't call Tracy dead yet. And Robert says that they're different types of running backs. Could they split it similar to the Lions? They absolutely could. The issue is that they're not the Lions. So, like, when the Lions are the highest scoring team in the NFL, they can support 2 running backs. The Giants are not going to be able to support 2 running backs. That would be the big problem with that scenario. So, I totally think that's their vision. And I think a lot of teams are switching to this idea of two backs. It's just really hard to make it work when you're not a high-powered offense. So you really need Jackson Dart to come through and Brian Daboll to come through for that to really work. We've got our first super chat here from Kai Star 86. Hey, I appreciate you. I almost never get these, so shout out to you, man. Thank you so much. He says, what's Swift's value post-draft with no additions? I mean, it's hard to argue with Swift being one of the bigger winners from the draft. Like, I thought for sure they were going after, I think they actually were going after Henderson, and then he went, and then they traded back, and they just didn't take any running backs. Like, I don't know, they didn't like any of these guys. I was shocked when we got to round 5, round 6, round 7. There were so many quality names on the board, and they just didn't take anybody. So I think it's hard to say he's worth less than 206, 207. You know, what are you taking at 206, 207? Jack Besh, Kyle Williams. I think he's got to be in that range because he's better than Roschon Johnson. He will get the pass catching work. If there is any pass catching work, I guess, to go around for running backs on that team with all those other receivers. But I'm going to, final answer, I'm going to say 207 would be my line right now for Swift. Because at this point, unless they're going to trade for somebody, he's going to be the starter. So anyway, that's the that's my take on that. Again, thanks for the chat, man. If anybody else, has a question they really, really need answered, that would be a good way to get it answered. Breadstick, I didn't realize third round reversal was on. I'm just trying to keep you guys on your toes. I just want to make sure you're paying attention to the draft order. Zachary, Pacheco is definitely a winner as well. Who's to say? I think it's fair to say that the team recognizes he was limited by the injury last year and that he is still the guy that they like. They only signed Elijah Mitchell and Kareem Hunt. So he can absolutely still have that kind of mid RB2, maybe high-end RB2 upside that we were expecting in the past. So I think he has to be a winner. That's the tricky part about these running backs. It's like, yes, you can hold on to some of them because some of them will make it through. But if you were holding Ramondre Stevenson, if you were holding, and I thought he was the decent buy at one point. If you were holding Jalen Warren, that's one of my absolute favorite running backs. If you were holding Travis Etienne, you got the short end of the stick. And then you look at other teams, and it's like Brian Robinson, he makes it through. DeAndre Swift makes it through. Isaiah Pacheco. You just don't know what's going to happen. You're playing running back roulette. And if you're getting cheap enough prices, I guess it can be worthwhile. My issue is just none of these backs really have that super high upside that makes me want to swing on them, right? Because it's like, even if they survive, what's the ceiling, right? We get 13.5 points per game from Swift. That's fine. Whatever. It's useful. It's probably worth it for the price you could have gotten for him for a couple days ago. But, it's not that exciting. Apache says, thoughts on Brashard Smith's role? I mean, his only role for the next 4 months is to actually make the team. He's a 7th round rookie running back on a team that already does have 3 guys signed on the roster. So I don't think he's owed anything. He could just get cut in camp, but it's a cool fit. I'm excited that he went there and I'm interested in stashing him, taking some stabs on him because it's such an exciting spot and the competition there isn't totally insurmountable, but he's a strong receiving prospect, converted wide receiver. I guess if this draft has a Tyrone Tracy, it would be him, but that doesn't mean it's going to work out the same way. So another question, how does Devin Neal affect Alvin Kamara? So here's what I'll say as a blanket statement. If a running back goes in round 5, round 6, round 7, we should not assume that they affect anybody at all. Ollie Gordon does not affect Devon Achane. Jordan James does not affect Christian McCaffrey. It's just not. Teams need running backs on their, they need running backs on their team. The fact that they took Devin Neal, just because he's a guy that we liked, that we were hoping would go earlier, that he was good in college, it doesn't mean anything about how they're going to be used by these teams. Devin Neal could get 0 carries this year, and I would not bat an eye. So I'm going to take swings on him. I mean, I'm not going to take him at 207. No offense, Ryan Graham, but that's kind of insane. I'm not going to take him at 207. I liked him as a prospect, so I'll take him, 3rd, 4th round. But we have to understand that a lot of these guys are just not going to do anything in the NFL. That's how it works with these day 3 picks. So I don't think Devin Neal affects Alvin Kamara. I'm not moving Kamara down because they grabbed a depth piece in round 6. I'm not moving Achane. I'm not moving Joe Mixon. I'm not moving Jonathan Taylor. I'm not moving any of these guys because they got day 3 competition. Now, when you're talking about less skilled, less established running backs like a Tyrone Tracy, yeah, I'm going to pay attention when the team adds another guy in early round 4 because they have nothing invested in Tracy. And he's not really a proven talent. So it's a little bit different in those cases. David says, Bears definitely signing Dobbins or Chubb. Yeah, I mean, those guys are pretty cooked. So I'm not too worried about it. Also, don't think it's a guarantee they sign one of those guys. I think we're a little bit too quick to just say these things for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's possible. It's possible they sign. I don't know if there's anybody else out there that's unsigned. Just quickly going back to this rookie draft, because I didn't talk about it much while it was going on. I do want to say real quick, I just touched on it once. I don't think Devin Neal should be going at 2-7 ahead of Scatabo, ahead of Tootin. Scatabo and Tootin both got significantly better draft capital, and I think also landed in better situations. Or, you know, Tootin definitely so in a better situation, just a much better offense. And the running backs there are definitely not insurmountable. So I would definitely be taking him ahead. I wouldn't be taking him ahead of these second-round wide receivers either, Jack Besh. So I think that's a little bit too bullish. And that can happen sometimes when you have a high opinion of a player and then they fall further than you think. That can be tough to adjust your expectations, adjust your priors. I think we have to adjust our priors with Devin Neal. Brandon, rookie drafts do not usually snake. Rookie drafts are supposed to be linear. Someone just asked if we could do a snake draft, and I said yes. We're going to do linear for the next one and the one after that. William, are you asking me or telling me? Are you saying you think that they're going to trade Charbonnet? Is this something that's been going around? I don't know this story on that, but if there's like rumors he's going to get traded, I certainly don't think because they drafted Damian Martinez in round 7 that he's going to get traded. But maybe this is something that's been talked about otherwise. I don't know. Anyway, if I was going to do, I'm not going to do favorite teams on this one because I'm super confused about the draft order and who got what value. So that was a bit of a mess. We're going to back out. We're going to do at least one more here. Then we're going to see how we're feeling. I'm going to make sure my buddy Chris gets in here because he's been waiting patiently and he's very helpful. So I'm going to let him in. And then I'm going to let everybody else in. I think I want to do another one. I want to do another one from the late round, from the late picks. I'm going to go with pick 9 here. Chris, I sent you the link, so you better get in there. All right, he's in. All right, link is in the chat. You guys can fill this thing up. We'll run another mock. Matthew says, what do you think about the Colts passing offense? I think it's going to suck because their quarterback is not good. I mean, they've got a ton of weapons. They've got Downs, they've got Pittman, they've got Pierce, Mitchell. Now they have Tyler Warren. I just think they're going to be very low volume, and I think there's just not going to be a lot of accuracy there. So it's really hard to. Oh yeah, I'll fix the settings here. We're going to go linear, and that's going to take off third round reversal as well. Yeah, that'll do it. So, you know, I don't have high expectations for the passing game. Now, it's going to change. The quarterback's going to change eventually. If Richardson can't pull it together and be the guy, it's going to change. Honestly, the worst case scenario for anybody holding Tyler Warren, Josh Downs, that's me, Michael Pittman, is that Richardson shows improvement and does enough to stick around while also still being super low volume and being very volatile as a passer. That's the worst case scenario. You either want him to totally become a superstar, or you want him to totally crash out and get replaced for your Colts receivers. But that doesn't mean I'm not taking any of these guys, because I think change is going to come more likely than not. All right, we're going to kick this thing off. Another draft. Ashton Genty, 101 again. It's a little cliche at this point, if you ask me, but, can't blame you guys for having good taste. We get Hampton at 102 this time, not Hunter. I have a feeling I know where Chris is going to go with this pick. He goes Travis Hunter. Ted McMillan. Sean, I think the Igbuka pick threw all of us for a loop, if I'm being totally honest. And it's not where I would have liked to see him go. I was hoping he would go to Washington or Houston, to be honest. But it is what it is. We adjust. We adapt. We overcome. Matt is going to take my guy here. Matt Shuck, he's too sharp. I'm in a league with this guy. Yep, he took my guy. My guy, Colston Loveland. You hate to see it. But I'm going to go ahead and grab Emeka Egbuka. My wide receiver 3 in the class. PPR format. I like him a lot. I'll be patient. He's not gonna blow it up week 1, but that's fine. I'll keep him on the bench for a bit. We go Caleb Johnson, RJ Harvey. I've seen Caleb Johnson go ahead of Harvey, I think, in every single one of these. It's not egregious to me, but I do think Harvey's going to be a good value in a lot of leagues. Tyler Warren, that's a good value in my opinion, 112. And this is where I think Jackson Dart has to come off the board. I just think he has to come off the board with that first round capital. It's just, he's going to get a chance at some point. He runs the ball a decent bit. We get Trey Harris at 2-1. Michael Fernandez, I would still rather have Richardson than Shuck, because Richardson has a lot more upside if he hits. And I'm pretty sure Shuck is awful as well. He's also like several years older than Richardson. I would confidently rather have Richardson at this point. Isaac, what do you do with Golden? Is he below Higgins? No, he's ahead of Higgins for me. First round capital matters. I think early second is where he should go, in my opinion. Burden goes 205 after Higgins. If this trend for Burden holds, I think Burden could be quite a good value, but I think he's actually going to have a lot of variance from league to league, because there are just some truthers, the people who have thought of him as the wide receiver 1 in this class since last year, people that play Devi, whatever, that are going to be anchoring him a little bit higher in some rooms. So it'll depend. Matt's going to snipe me again. Get ready. He's going to snipe me again. I can't take the suspense. It's killing me. Krangus McBasketball says a round 3 running back should not be going ahead of a round 1 tight end who won the Mackey Award. I mean, honestly, I also agree that Caleb Johnson shouldn't be going ahead. Okay, I didn't get sniped here. I'm going to take Darn Tootin, the Darn Tootin best 4th round running back in this class. I love him as a late 2nd round pick. Let's just shoot for the moon. Let's go for the upside. Yeah, I agree. Tyler Warren should go ahead of Caleb Johnson regardless of the situational concerns. The draft capital for him is so good. Upside for him is high in a tight end premium format. Caleb, I'm not taking Henderson at 103. I just think Travis Hunter and Ted McMillan are such strong prospects. If you were talking about like a half PPR league, maybe a start 2 wide receiver, half PPR league, that's when I could see maybe moving Henderson above those guys. But anything short of that, or if it's like a heavy points per carry league, then I could see it. In a regular PPR league like this one, it's just really not in the cards for me. I like Henderson a lot, but I'm not passing over those top 10 picked wide receivers. They're both really good prospects, and they're both in great situations. Thanks, Isaac. I appreciate it. I'm Henry says, is 107 the earliest for Loveland for you? Personally think he can be tight end 4 or 5. I mean, I 7 is where I have him ranked. And in a regular tight end premium, yeah, probably going to be taking him there at 7th overall most of the time. But I have him ranked as my tight end 3 in Dynasty. So don't get me wrong. I'm very high on Loveland. It's just, it's a hard position to really become a difference maker at. And I really like a lot of these other prospects too. Do you think Sampson is going too late? I know he's day 3, but should see the field by week 5. I mean, who knows if he sees the field? I mean, Jerome Ford has been very serviceable in Cleveland. Judkins gets the early draft capital. So it's hard to say. Like, I mean, I also don't know how late he's going. You know, in this draft, he's going fairly late. I have him ranked as a 3rd round rookie pick. I don't think he should be going higher than that. Because he already had some warts in his profile. He's a little bit small. He's not a pass catcher, really, at least not in college. So there's some concerns there already. And then he goes day 3. That obviously matters. I will grab him here, though. I think in the 3rd round, he's a great swing to take because I think if you guys watched my video, I think it was the rookie mock with landing spots, I did express some concerns on Quinshon Judkins. His rushing profile is a little bit worrisome, and I don't love that they grabbed Sampson, who I think, quite frankly, could be a better rusher. A lot of the film community really likes him. Judkins had some concerns with his, missed tackles forced, elusiveness, things like that. That's, depending on who you ask, does or doesn't show up on tape. But if he's going to have to compete with Sampson as well as Ford, that just means he has to be that good, right, to keep things on track. And that is a little bit concerning for me. It did move him. Honestly, when they made the Sampson pick, I did move Judkins down at least one spot in the ranks because I do think it's, at least just a little bit of a cause for concern. He's still going to get the chance to prove himself because of that draft capital. He can have the chance to establish himself, but it does make things a little bit tougher. So we're in the 4th round here. Coming to the end of this, I'm up on the clock again. Who's off the board here? Jarquez Hunter's gone. Okay, I'm winging this thing here just by who looks like the best available. This is all out of order. I'm gonna go. I'll break my own rules here. It's late enough in the draft. I'll go Alec A.O. Manor, 409. Take a shot on a potential starting wide receiver for the Titans. We'll see. Fingers crossed. You could, at the very worst, we could at least get a little report that he's running with the starters in camp, and maybe I flip him for a 3rd. Just get out before the season starts. There was some interesting stuff in the chat I wanted to catch up on. Simon says, would you move? Simon says, I didn't mean to do that. Would you move 110 for 203, 206, 303? I'm contending. I think I would. I think it's a little bit flat there. You see Jackson Dart go 203 in this mock. You can see Golden there. You can see Bird in there. I don't think it's different enough from a Caleb Johnson or RJ Harvey to really be worth passing up on that. Because then you also get to draft, Jack Besh or Bashal Tutin. And then you also get to draft Terrence Ferguson or one of these running backs like a Dylan Sampson. So I think if you have the roster space, I think it's worthwhile to make that trade back. To be sure. Breadstick says Shuck is going all over because of sleeper ADP. Shouldn't he be a 2nd? I have him ranked 25th right now, but I think it's definitely arguable he should be moved up a couple of spots. I wouldn't fault anybody for taking him in the late 2nd as a probable starting quarterback. I don't have any real faith in him to succeed, but crazier things have happened, right? And there are some people that genuinely like him. So I think that's totally fine. Taylor Price says, can I still draft Hunter if I have T-Law and Brian Thomas? Yeah, absolutely. I think having Trevor Lawrence makes it a good thing. And that's a positive. People like stacking. It definitely raises your ceiling. And then I don't think it matters that you have Brian Thomas. I think when you're talking about 2 high-end assets, ask anybody, were they upset that they had Chase and Higgins on the same team last year? Is anybody really upset if they have, even like Jefferson and Addison, or if you have AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley, like if you have two high end pieces on the same team, I think that's totally fine. No problem at all. Yella, do you actually think Sanders should go ahead of Milroe? Because at this point, I think the NFL has told us enough to say that he should definitely be going ahead, especially with the upside. Yeah. Let me talk about some of these teams here, and then there's a couple really good questions that I'd like to touch on before I lose them in the chat. But looking back at this mock, got to shout out my boy Chris here in the 3 spot. Hunter, Dart, Sanders, ETN. Hunter and Dart absolutely would have been my picks in those 2 spots. Sanders maybe would be my pick. I think probably still going to go Harold Fannin over him. Probably going to go Dylan Sampson over him. But I don't know. I have to think about it. And I'm definitely taking Tyler Shuck over him. Got to think about it a bit. It's a really weird situation with Sanders because we don't fully know why he fell to the 5th round. Like, should he be treated like a normal 5th round quarterback or not? I really don't know. But that is a tough call. Ryan says, why is Golden at the early 2nd? Great situation and draft capital. Yeah, I mean, I've got Golden 15th in my rankings. That would be the 203. There are going to be some snarky people who are going to say things like, I don't know, people are too confident in their spreadsheets. I would counter that with people are too confident in their film evaluations of wide receivers that were never productive in college. I don't know. Look, I see the arguments for Golden. I think they're totally valid, totally reasons to like him. I have made my position on him pretty clear in past videos, but I think he's the type of wide receiver that's likely to be a better NFL receiver than fantasy receiver. He's going to a team that, yes, has an opening as an outside wide receiver. It's also a team that is consistently below average in pass attempts, and he is not a wide receiver who has at any time in his college career proven the ability to command high volume. And yeah, I mean, it's a fairly open depth chart. You still have Jaden Reed there. You have Tucker Kraft there. You have Romeo Doubs there. Jacobs out of the backfield. I don't think he's necessarily owed anything as a first rounder, that he's just going to walk in and have everything handed to him. He has to come in and prove himself. And again, outside of like a 4 or 5 game stretch in college, he's never done that. He has, the lowest peak receiving yards per game of any wide receiver taken in the first round since at least 2011, maybe earlier than that. Just a really unprecedented level of poor production in college. And I think the best counter argument to that, if I was going to steel man the other side of the Golden argument, is that he is an early declare. And if we hypothetically say he goes back to school, he goes back to Texas, he plays this year, plays out his senior season with Arch Manning at quarterback, what does that look like for him? His production profile probably looks a lot better. His peak production and his career numbers are all going to be juiced a little bit. So give him some credit for being an early declare, and give him some credit for going first round. But going 23rd is not quite the same as going like 12th overall, which is where he was being mocked for quite a bit. Your hit rates do change there. And at the end of the day, it comes down to, I don't think that he's going to hit in a way that I truly regret passing on him. I think in the most of the scenarios where Golden ends up being a good wide receiver and not a bust, he's probably Jordan Addison. He's probably Zay Flowers, Devonta Smith level. I'm just not that worried. I'm just not that worried that he's going to be Ladd McConkey. I don't think he's going to be Drake London. I don't think he's going to be jumping up that high. Open to being wrong, but I'm not going to value him like that. All right, we're going to do one more mock before we get out of here. Let's start this one back up. New mock draft. I appreciate you guys hanging out, by the way. One more time, if you are new to the channel, you just stumbled upon this on YouTube, subscribe. It's a good time here. Pure potential. And it would just make my day if you subscribe to the channel. We're over 6,000. We are marching towards 7. I would love to get to 10,000, to be honest with you. So just help me out. Tell a friend. Tell a league mate. Matthew says, got to run. Love getting these mocks in. Hey, appreciate you stopping by. Nico, what is up? Welcome in. Chris Miles. Chris is correct here. Will Fuller would be a good, really good peak outcome for him. Absolutely agree with that. Let me drop this link in here. Nico, I assume you mean rate the NFL draft. The NFL draft, like I think I'll give it a 7. You know, some things didn't go the way I hoped, but we have a lot of really good prospects in good spots, a lot of really fun situations to work out, and I think there are some cool angles to potentially exploit in rookie drafts. So yeah, I'm on it. I'm in it. I'll give it an 8. Marty says you should make your pick on air because I'm on the clock. Oh, I'm on the clock in a rookie draft. That's going to be a common theme for me over the next few days. Those are the pros of being in 26 leagues. All right, I'm gonna kick this thing off. Start the draft. I'm sitting this one out. You guys take us home with a good one here. Nick says, why are people taking Jaden Blue at 210? He is trash. I mean, nobody should be taking him at 210. That's a little rich. Trash seems a bit excessive. He's a really, really good pass catching back, really good pass pro back. Not sure he's going to get a lot of volume on the ground, but he goes to a backfield that has very little competition. So I don't know. I mean, I think he's worth a pick. Just not at the 210. Matthew, I think at the 1-2 turn, your best bets are going to be guys like RJ Harvey, Jackson Dart. If you're looking at a wide receiver, that would be Luther Burden, Matthew Golden. Those would be the guys. Caleb Johnson as well. A lot of good options at the turn. It does feel like from 110 to about 202, 203, I don't have a super strong preference. So maybe that's a trade down spot in a lot of leagues. Depends what you need, I guess. Chris, this is a good call. Posting the mocks in the Discord. I can try to do that for sure if I can still find them after the fact. I guess they're all just probably should still be able to access them after this is all said and done. I can hear my son in the other room like banging a spoon on something, and I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's kind of annoying. We get Harvey again at the 202. Common theme here. I think I'm going to have a lot of RJ Harvey the way this is looking lately. Nico says, where do you feel our early tier breaks? Well, I can tell you one thing, Nico. You've got that symbol next to your name, which means you are a YouTube member. So you can just go and see exactly where the tier breaks are. If you go check out the rankings, they are in the Discord for you. And anybody else that wants to see exactly how I have this class ranked, where the tier breaks are, and where they fit into my overall Dynasty rankings, I've already got them added in there. You can become a YouTube member. I keep pointing the wrong way. You can become a YouTube member as well and check that out. But tier breaks, there's a tier break after Genty. There's a tier break after, for me, little tier break after McMillan at 4 between him and Cam Ward, although I think you can totally throw Ward into that tier. That's totally reasonable. Then it's like Henderson, Loveland, Ibuka. I think you can kind of go down to like 10th overall. And then you get into guys that have some question marks. RJ Harvey, older running back. Jackson Dart, late first-round quarterback, not the cleanest profile. Caleb Johnson, third-round pick, has a bit of competition. So there's some warts once you get into the late first, early second. But that's where I see it. And then I think things kind of fall off in like the mid to late second round. There's another tier drop. Like Jalen Knoll is not a guy I'm very excited about at this point. So much competition being on the Texans with Nico and Higgins there. Higgins and Knoll performed similarly in college, but if you actually look per route, Higgins was better than him playing in the slot and out wide. So I think Higgins is more likely the better pro, especially given the draft capital difference. And there's not going to be room for 3 guys to really thrive there. So he's worth a shot. It's just, I was really hoping he would go second round. And his profile just looks a lot less impressive as a third rounder. I'm pretty comfortable taking Milrow ahead of him. I'm comfortable taking Scatabo ahead of him. Terrence Ferguson too. So that's what I would say about Knoll. You know, Matt Harmon likes him a lot, and JJ Zachariason even liked him as a later pick. But I think both of them would probably agree that given that he did go third round instead of second, that he did go to kind of a murky spot, he probably should be going a little bit later than this. Kyle Williams is a player that I think is close enough to him as a prospect that I would rather defer to the much better landing spot that he ended up getting. Isaac, you said, are you high on ETN? I mean, I can't really be high on him right now, sharing a backfield with Tank Bigsby and Tootin. I'd be hoping he gets traded. I've definitely been a believer in his talent in the past, but hard to be excited about what he's looking at right now. I would view him as like a late second type of value, somebody you could certainly swing on for like a 211, 212 pick and just kind of see what happens. Hey, I appreciate that, Chris. Thank you very much. He is not paid to say this, by the way. I make him help me with the Discord and I make him help me with the rankings, and I don't pay him. So he's saying this truthfully. Trevor Etienne. Right. There's two guys named Etienne now. No, I'm not very high on Trevor Etienne. He's not really a very impressive prospect. He's really just a pass catching back, mostly. And he's going to a situation where like the Panthers have their guy. Their guy is Chuba Hubbard. They gave him a big extension. He's going to touch the ball a ton. I think Etienne was picked up to really be a third down back, to be a 2-minute drill, maybe 2-minute drill back. I think it would be hard for him to get into a spot where he could really put up a lot of fantasy production. I don't know how Rico Dowdle factors in. He did sign a contract there, but like my guess would be if Hubbard went down, it would just be a split between Dowdle and Trevor Etienne. So that would be my view. Any running back that goes fourth round is like totally worthy of a draft pick. So I think I have him like late third, early fourth. That's a totally fine place to take him because you just never know what's going to happen. But like, as far as how I would view him, I think Devin Neal is more interesting as like an all-around skill set, even though he went later. I think Devin Sampson's more interesting. I think Jaden Blue is in a better spot, and they're kind of similar in terms of their usage, projected usage. The Review Lab says rankings are fantastic. Hey, appreciate that. I'm glad you like them. The reviews are in, and they're good. This is a good question. Non-tight end premium really changes the math on these tight ends because the threshold for being useful is very different. So I think early second's probably where they belong. Yeah, it's hard to eyeball it, but like if you move them out of there, you're probably looking at Loveland and Warren ahead of guys like Higgins, ahead of Trey Harris. I think they should still probably go ahead of those guys because in a lot of outcomes they could score similarly to them, and it's going to be more valuable at the scarce position of tight end. William says, who do you favor in the Dallas backfield? I would say Javonte has to be the most valuable right now. I still wouldn't go crazy. I wouldn't pay more than like a third round pick for him because I frankly just don't think he's very good. And I think it could just be a really gross committee. But if I had to pick a guy, he's the one who's most suited to a large workload where he has the pass catching ability and he's big enough to handle carries. He just doesn't seem to have much juice anymore. But neither did Zeke for a couple years there, and he was fine. So I would say Javonte. Blue is worth a dart throw. Who else do they have there? Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is worth rostering. Like, unless you're in a really shallow league, any running back on a 53, let's do it. You can definitely roster him. I don't think he's going to do much of anything. Like Nico, I love Miles Sanders from his Eagles days, but first of all, he signed with the Cowboys, so he's dead to me right off the bat. But also, I got to be realistic. I don't let fandom impact me as an analyst. I don't favorite Eagles players. But yeah, we wrapped up this last mock draft, guys. Let's take a look at how it turned out. I seem to always like what the 3 spot does. We got Hunter, Luther Burden, Dylan Sampson, Jarquez Hunter. I like that a lot. Out of the 6 hole, we got Marty here with Henderson, Tootin, Mason Taylor, and Jalen Royals. I don't know what to think about Royals. Like the Chiefs offense, you know, people like to see the Chiefs offense. It's exciting. There's a good number of mouths to feed there. I guess he's a decent prospect. He kind of looks like Rashee Rice as far as how he's used. So, you know, if they could get the most out of Rice, maybe they get the most out of him. I see the vision. Definitely one of the better day 3 wide receiver profiles. Torrey Horton is another one, day 3 wide receiver that's like mildly interesting. I see the Seahawks logo here, so maybe this is just a total homer pick, but I don't mind it. I don't mind Horton as a very late pick. Simon says, I think Noel is like Downs. He is a little bit like Downs. The difference is Josh Downs has that dog in him. Josh Downs plays big, and he takes people on and he breaks tackles. Jalen Noel has broken like 4 tackles in his entire college career. Just not a very strong yak guy. Now, maybe he puts on weight in the league. Maybe he can change that. But I heard a comp. He's much more like Tyler Lockett. If you guys have ever seen those compilations of Tyler Lockett just like catching the ball and falling down and not taking any hits and not breaking any tackles, that's a lot more like Noel, whereas Downs plays really aggressively. And because of that, I think he's more dynamic with the ball in his hands. But I definitely see some similarities there. Certainly guys that thrive in the slot. They're shifty. Apache, I apologize. I meant to answer this question. Thoughts on where the day 2 tight ends have been going? So, yeah, there's a lot of day 2 tight ends to work through. We got Mason Taylor. We got Harold Fannin, Elijah Arroyo, Terrence Ferguson. I'm going to say, first of all, my favorite guy out of that group, and really the only one that I think is worthy of a second-round pick, even in tight end premium, is Terrence Ferguson. I like him as a late second. I just think it's, you know, you're going to Sean McVay, which is great. He's a supreme athlete, which is great. That's really predictive at the position. After that, I'm a little bit less excited, but I would go Harold Fannin as the next guy. On the fantasy points stream today, there was Max Toscano was on. He does this very good tight end Substack. And then Jacob Sanderson was on. They were talking about Harold Fannin being a good fit with Kevin Stefanski and with the Browns offense. They like to run a lot of 2 tight end. They don't really have a slot receiver right now, so he could actually fit in early with a role there. After that, I think I would have Mason Taylor because he just has some really good traits. Like he's very, very young. He's got the prototypical size you like. He got the best draft capital of the remaining guys here. And he goes to a depth chart that's pretty open. You know, you don't love the fact that it's Justin Fields, but at the same time, who's the second target after Garrett Wilson, right? Like not really anybody notable that I can think of. So that's nice for him. And then Elijah Arroyo. It's funny that they took Arroyo because he's very similar to Noah Fant in a lot of ways. I worry that he's never going to really have a full-time role and he's going to be capped out at like a 60% route share, kind of like we've seen from Noah Fant in his career. I just don't know if he can really play in line. So I'm curious to see how they use him. They have kind of a weird group of personnel in Seattle. I think it's probably going to be like Arroyo and AJ Barner, though, sharing the field. And I just don't know if we can see Arroyo get up to that high upside. So like if you were in a tight end premium Dynasty best ball league, I'd be more interested. I just struggle to see him having the upside to be like a weekly starter. So he's more of like a mid 3rd round pick for me. But that's going to do it for us, guys. Actually, I'll check on my my one league where I'm on the clock if anybody wants to stick around. I've already been tagged. Let's see where wait, is this a league where I have 101? Oh, I have 102. Okay, I'm on the clock at 102. Genty went off the board, if you can believe it, at 101. So I have my chance to draft my very first Travis Hunter share. I do think I probably should take a look at my team and figure out if I'm in a good spot to take him or if I need to trade back or whatever. So I'm not going to lock in the pick right this second, but I suspect I'll be taking Travis Hunter 102 with my first post-draft rookie pick. Very excited to do it. Appreciate you guys coming in and checking out these mock drafts, participating. It was really cool to see how this turned out. I will try to take screenshots of these drafts and send them in the chat. And yeah, I mean, if you guys have drafts starting, good luck to you. I hope that you don't draft any busts. I hope that you are able to trade down and trade up as much as you want. And guys, remember to consider range of outcomes when you are valuing these rookies. Think about what can happen if things go poorly. Think about how they can go well. Think about what their value upside could be. Try to think a year from now. Tell yourself a story. How does their value change? How does their production get into your lineup? Think about all that stuff. Check out my video from a few days ago if you haven't. It's got a lot of the high level game theory stuff that can help you in your rookie drafts. But otherwise, just enjoy it, soak it in. I'll be back very soon with some more content. I hope you have a great weekend.